Some mysteries refuse to be forgotten. Some legends never fade. And some conspiracies demand to be uncovered. This is Codename Unknown. Mysteries, conspiracies, and legends. Where expert investigator and host Jackson Wolf dives deep into history's most perplexing enigmas, chilling folklore, and secretive cover-ups. Each week, he pushes the boundaries of what we know, uncovering hidden truths and questioning the stories we've been told. The search for answers begins now. Open your mind, question everything, and step into the shadows.
Welcome to Codename Unknown. Mysteries, conspiracies, and legends. I'm Jackson Wolf, and today we're unpacking the secret lives of urban legends, how local lore shapes our reality. Think of this as a guided walk through stories we whisper, repost, and regulate around. We'll explore how legends are born, why they spread, what they reveal, and how to investigate them without losing the wonder. By the end, you'll see why untrue tales can still reshape decisions, neighborhoods, and even policy. Let's begin with essential definitions. What is an urban legend? It's a contemporary, plausible story presented as true, often happening to a friend of a friend, carrying a moral or warning. Local lore is the place-rooted subset, stories tied to a town, road, bridge, or building. Myths explain cosmic origins. Folklore includes customs, sayings, and traditional tales. Rumors are unverified claims circulating now. Conspiracy theories allege coordinated deception by powerful actors. Urban legends overlap these, but center on memorable incidents that feel nearby, timely, and personally consequential and sticky. Why do smart people believe and repeat them? Cognitive shortcuts. The availability bias makes vivid stories feel common. Confirmation bias nudges us to notice details that match our prior worries. Pattern-seeking minds reduce uncertainty by connecting dots, even when the picture is incomplete. Social identity needs, belonging, status, protection, reward-sharing on-brand stories within our group. Fear and ambiguity heighten susceptibility. Legends offer scripts for action. Crucially, these are normal brain features, not defects, which is why debunking must respect psychology. Context matters for uptake. Urban legends do social work. They bond people through shared chills and inside knowledge. Retelling signals group membership. They set norms: don't pick up strangers, check the back seat, watch your kids' candy, delivered as memorable warnings rather than dry rules. They maintain boundaries by mapping danger onto outsiders or taboo spaces, sometimes unfairly. They entertain, turning anxiety into a story we can manage, and they help communities process shocks, giving language and plot to fears that otherwise feel amorphous and isolating and sometimes catalytic. How do they travel so well? Through the friend of a friend structure, close enough to feel credible, distant enough to avoid verification. Specifics, names, dates, brands, a particular exit, create texture and plausibility. Good legends offer a small, actionable lesson, so listeners pass them on. Transmission channels stack, campfires and cafeterias, local news segments, talk radio, text threads, group chats, and neighborhood apps. Online copy-paste templates let a single story proliferate with localized details swapped in, keeping the core intact while mutating with retellings. Media can legitimize or puncture a legend. Sensational headlines privilege novelty and danger, increasing recall. Talk radio and podcasts riff on rumors, shaping interpretation through tone. Community apps surface hyperlocal claims quickly, while replies create a perceived consensus. Algorithms reward engagement, not accuracy, so shocking stories find audiences fast. Debunking works best when timely, locally sourced, and respectful. Otherwise, a corrective can amplify the tale. Responsible outlets contextualize trends, separate speculation from incidents, and follow up when facts contradict early impressions and rumors. Across cultures, motifs recur with local accents. The vanishing hitchhiker warns drivers and translates anxieties about strangers, roads, and mortality. Haunted bridges, tunnels, and roads anchor fear in infrastructure we all share, often near sites of past tragedy. Food contamination legends map bodily vulnerability onto everyday consumption. Campus stalker and babysitter stories connect to gendered safety negotiations. Each place swaps characters, brands, and settings to align with geography, industry, and history, coal towns, port cities, borderlands, making the legend feel inevitable, native, and instructive today. The Halloween candy tampering legend looms every October. Despite decades of police records showing vanishingly few verified cases, many parents inspect, restrict, or replace candy. Some towns move trick-or-treating to daylight or host controlled trunk-or-treats. News rundowns of hospital x-rays and warnings from officials reinforce vigilance. The legend persists because it solves a parental dilemma, managing diffuse fear with a concrete ritual. Hidden truth remains. Communities crave trust in lighting, sidewalks, and neighborly ties. Where those are weak, the story thrives and policies follow suit. Alligators in the sewers exemplify urban wildlife anxieties and infrastructural mystery. The core claim, a hidden population surviving on scraps below city streets, is biologically implausible in many climates, yet the image sticks. It dramatizes worries about unseen systems, the maze beneath our feet, waste management, and what happens after we flush. It also plays with city identity. New York and Miami adopt or reject it differently. The hidden truth, real invasive species and maintenance gaps do challenge budgets and coordination and sometimes public safety. Digital age legends evolve as creepypasta, chain messages, and challenge scares. Think of faceless figures, haunted apps, or the ominous Momo panic. These hoaxes can still spark real behavior. Schools issue warnings, parents monitor screens, kids test limits, platforms tweak policies. The mechanics mirror classic legends, vivid specifics, a call to action, and a moral, but the distribution is instant, remixable, and global. The hidden truth flags gaps in digital literacy, supervision, and platform accountability, while reflecting adult anxieties about youth autonomy online and rapidly shifting norms. Legends often encode power dynamics. Stories about tainted products can target small immigrant businesses. Crime rumors may align with racialized stereotypes. Tales of organ theft dramatize distrust of medical institutions. Sometimes legends function as folk critique, calling out perceived cover-ups or corporate neglect when official channels feel unresponsive. Ethically, investigators must avoid amplifying harm, name the stereotype, check for victims who could be endangered, and center patterns rather than blaming groups. Ask who benefits, who is blamed, and who is silenced or ignored. False tales can point toward true conditions. A campus stalker rumor may reflect poor lighting, inadequate patrols, and gaps in reporting channels. Poisoned candy fears highlight frayed neighbor trust, limited public space, and the absence of shared rituals. Sewer creatures hint at opaque infrastructure and aging pipes. Digital panics expose information asymmetry between platforms and families. The analytic move is to translate legend into audit. What tangible vulnerabilities, inequalities, or traumas would make this story feel plausible here, and who can address them? When investigating, start local and primary. Pull police logs, incident reports, and school alerts. Check city council minutes and health department notices. File FOIA requests for relevant time windows and locations. Visit the site, photograph details and note lighting, visibility, and camera coverage. Search local archives and newspapers for earlier versions. Consult folklorists for motif histories and journalists for sourcing standards. Verify images with reverse searches, EXEF data, and geolocation. Create a timeline of first mentions and compare wording drift across copies and retractions. Red flags, unnamed eyewitnesses, unverifiable experts, missing dates, addresses, or jurisdictions. recycled photos from other countries, screenshots without originals, and claims that details were scrubbed immediately. Heuristics help. Ask for contemporaneous reporting and official case numbers, require 2 independent on-the-record sources, prefer primary documents to summaries, and check whether a supposed trend has more than isolated incidents. Notice shifting claims when challenged. Be cautious with share now warnings. Credible alerts usually include contact info, response steps, and accountable signatories and transparent timelines for updates. Legends shape policy and markets. Schools ban costumes or hoodies after rumors. Cities add lights, cameras, or guardrails. Sometimes they cancel events. Retailers change packaging, post warnings, or pull products. Insurance rates adjust as perceived risk rises. Neighborhood associations formalize watch programs. Apps add features for safety reports. Some outcomes improve well-being, better lighting, clearer communication, emergency drills. Others fuel stigma or waste money, like unnecessary sweeps targeting harmless groups. The challenge is translating fear into proportionate, evidence-based responses with community input and sunset clauses. Balancing skepticism and empathy is essential. Treat storytellers as witnesses to feelings and contexts, even if details falter. Ask open questions, validate concerns, and separate assessing the claim from judging the person. Avoid ridicule. It hardens positions and increases sharing within defensive groups. Share what you know, what you don't, and how you'll find out. Offer safer alternatives to risky behaviors inspired by the legend. When correcting, anchor to local data and lived experience so the update feels relevant, timely, actionable, and compassionate. I want to hear your town's legend. Send a concise summary with dates, locations, and name sources. Include links, screenshots, or photos, and tell me what questions you want answered. Note who is helped or harmed if the story spreads. If there's a specific incident, add a case number or agency contact. Email or voice memo works. We'll select entries for future deep dives, credit contributors, and share the investigation process so you can replicate the toolkit in your community and measure impact. That's our tour through the secret lives of urban legends, what they are, why we believe, how they spread, and the truths they signal. We examined candy scares, sewer creatures, and digital age hoaxes, traced media amplification, and looked at power, ethics, and community impact. You now have a toolkit for verification, red flags to spot, and strategies for skeptical empathy. I'm Jackson Wolf, and this is Codename Unknown. Share your local lore, stay curious, and let's keep turning anxiety into informed action for everyone listening.
You've been listening to Codename Unknown, Mysteries, Conspiracies, and Legends. The search for answers never stops, and the truth is always waiting to be uncovered. If you enjoyed the journey, subscribe to us, and don't miss what's next. Until next time, stay curious and keep questioning everything.